Can you hear me or see me?
I can see you now.
Perfect. Awesome,
Deadly,
man.
deadly. Thank you guys for taking some time to join us here in obviously hometown Vancouver. I mean, you're
Yeah,
born and
man.
raised in Burnaby, but you might as well just say you're from Vancouver, right?
Oh, that's what we do.
Well,
Eh,
man, thanks for having us, dude. When you sent me that email, just like selling me on all your credentials, I'm like, dude, you don't need to tell me anything. I already know who you are. Dude, I was a huge fan of you guys back when I used to work security at the mall. That's all I would listen to is like
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, I
the
mean,
Fox,
when
man.
I read that email, I mean, I emailed saying, "Hey, man, come on," and yeah, like you say, here's all my stuff, here's all the reach I
Yeah.
get, and blah blah blah. And when you wrote back saying that you're a longtime fan of mine, you listened to my show, my radio show at CFOX, I was like, what a trip, man! Considering
Yeah.
a
No,
long
100%.
time fan of not only you guys, WWE, but just wrestling
Sure.
in general, like to the point of now this might not have been when you guys were wrestling with ECCW, but Scotty Mack asked me to come and be a guest referee
Oh, okay.
at the was it Ukrainian Hall there on
Russian.
Fourth and what is that?
It's a Russian Community Center on 4th and Arbutus.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and like midpoint of the night, he comes up to me and goes, "Hey man, is there any chance for the last match? Would you let us bust a chair on your back?" And I was like, "What chair?" So he shows me this chair, right? I was like, "Yeah, man, go nuts, right?" So he's like, "Okay,
Right.
all you got to do is grab the ropes, take it with your back. You should be fine. You're a pretty big guy." And it was
Right.
fun. It was awesome. Such a fun
Oh,
night.
so yeah, this is probably after we had left.
Yeah, I mean, it might even have been before, dude. Like I'm talking like 2000s.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
we
Okay.
started at
Oh,
5.
Yeah, it was probably right before you guys were kind of making the ascent, getting into
well, it's
the
funny
WWE and all
when
that.
we were making our climb up, and we could talk about this later on the podcast more. But like, I used to listen to you and Karen, and I'm like, man, we need to get on this show. Like, you guys
You should have
haven't.
just reached out, man. We would have had you on like that, like immediately.
Yeah, man. But
Yeah,
thanks for having us, dude.
yeah,
This
of
is
course.
cool.
Yeah. So I mean, it seems like the obvious question of being brothers and stuff. How old were you guys like when it first really grabbed you? How old were you? And like, what's your first wrestling memory?
Harvey, I'll take this one, I guess. We both started watching. I think my earliest memory of watching wrestling was WrestleMania 6. Hogan Warrior. So that was the early 90s.
Okay.
I just vaguely remember watching Warrior Hogan highlights of that match, and then and by the time WrestleMania 9 came around, 93, Las Vegas, yeah, I remember the Brett Yokozuna feud, and by then me and Harv, like we both grew up watching Brett, obviously. So like
Yeah,
right
of
there, that
course.
early 93, definitely that's when we were really grasped on. By the time WrestleMania 12, Brett Sean rolled around, Iron Man match, like that's when we were hooked. And Harv, I'll let you carry on with this answer because I can ramble on all night about it.
Yeah,
No,
of
no, no.
course.
I think it's as like I vividly remember Brett, being a kid, and he was world champ from Canada. So it's like you're like 6 years old and you're seeing this like, hero, Canadian hero traveling the world and world champ. And it was just, you couldn't ask for a better, like somebody to look up to. And as we got older, it just became bigger and bigger. And, and years later, here we are, like, good friends with him and emulating, a lot of his stuff, and, got to live our dream to a certain degree about like how he lived his dream. So it's pretty cool.
It is really cool. And, like his name, the excellence of execution, like he really is one of the best ever to do it, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And even when we were about to break into the business, this is like mid 2000, and I know I'm jumping forward a little bit, but like, everybody had heard of the Hart family and the Hart family dungeon. So when we were looking to break into the business, we're like, where do we go? And this is like pre-social media, you had a little bit of AOL working here and there, whatnot, but but like the Hart Family Dungeon is where we wanted to train, and I was lucky enough to get my start there in 2004, just before they sold the house. So I was actually down there in the dungeon with Bruce Hart, Ross Hart, and right on that canvas where like guys like Jake Roberts, British Bulldogs, everybody kind of cut the teeth. So very lucky in that sense. So to my brother's point, like, and now Brett's someone that we can just text, be like, hey, this is what we have, and this is
And
an
how
idea.
crazy is that, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
what?
no,
Just randomly texting with Bret Hart.
Yeah,
right.
no, yeah. So it's like he's more than just somebody we looked up to now. Now he's like a mentor slash coach slash friend. So we're very blessed in that sense.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and you guys were born in what, 87, I think I read.
I was born in '87.
You're
Gerv was
I'm 84. We're 3 years
you're
apart.
84. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I guess was it still like the same? Like, was it Hogan and like Ricky the Dragon and Macho Man and Elizabeth? Like those were all the ones that were making it. So you wanted to do the game.
Yeah, well, I
I've,
mean, again, sorry, go ahead, bro.
when we kind of started watching it and we were younger, Brett was world champ, and the guys like Hogan and Savage are kind of they were gone to WCW by then.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Right.
so Brett was world champion. Shawn Michaels was just coming up, and there was a lot of characters like Bam Bam Bigelow and Papa Shango. A lot.
Right. With that awesome shirt that he wore, the flames.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah.
2 years later, Steve Austin came in as the ringmaster. So it was kind of the, wrestling was kind of like in the resurgence phase. It was kind of like they were rediscovering themselves. And by 98, 97, 98, it was like the hottest thing in the world again.
Yeah, really. No kidding.
But the
And
cool thing was like,
I'm curious, like as far as like performers within such a big company like the WWE, was there many people like trying to steer your career, or were they just more like, here's the idea that we have for you guys and you execute?
in WWE, you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in WWE, like, like we showed up as the Bollywood Boys, pretty much what we were doing on the independent circuit throughout Canada or around the world. So we showed up as the Bollywood Boys, but when they saw that opening with Gender, as far as that world title run that they wanted to do and really capitalize on the Indian market, if we were rebranded as the Singh Brothers. So at first, like, I mean, here's a multi-billion-dollar company telling you kind of like, hey, like, we want to bring you on board, but there's a little revamp for you
Little
guys here.
tweak of
So
the image.
yeah.
Yeah.
And our job as work, employees, workers, like we run the play that the coach gives us. So that's the best way to put it. So we make the most of that opportunity too. So Harv, I'll let you jump in as well.
Kind of going back to what you kind of were bringing up, like when we got signed because of Triple H, when he kind of took over NXT at that time, there was this push for smaller wrestlers. There were just every few years WWE has this, they change their kind of game plan on what they want, and we were kind of right place, right time. There was this push for smaller athletic guys, more of an international base, and Triple H gave us an opportunity, and that happened. And then there was guys like Shawn Michaels, again, a guy I grew up watching. He really kind of gravitated towards us, and we built a good relationship with him. He helped us a lot. This last year, just before we got released, year and a half, Shawn was very hands-on with our match. And I would say it was the best body of work we did in WWE. And unfortunately, not a lot of people saw it because it was more of a hidden show, 205 Live. But we felt like this was the best body of work, and the big kind of break was coming. And Terry Taylor, another guy, I'm not sure you remember, the Red Rooster back from the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's another one of those great minds in wrestling and unsung heroes. And another guy, just really liked our work and just would always text us and give us ideas and feedback. So those were like the kind of guys that were, kind of helping us push, trying to get us to the next level in WWE.
Yeah, and you guys have been, I can't remember which one of you mentioned Jinder, but Jinder Mahal, of course, going on to become the reigning WWE champion, and you're kind of managing through that time. And where does that stand? Like, it must feel different than actually wrestling, but it still must feel great.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that was like, again, you get what you're given and you make the most of it. We were traveling the world and we were doing, not all the time you would see it on television, but we were doing 6 months and on non-televised events, and we were traveling around the world with the Gender. We were on a full-time schedule. Like,
Wow.
I think we would come home for literally like less than 24 hours just to go back on the road. So yeah, like the three of us were like just glued, and we were just traveling the entire world, and kind of all it's surreal. It happened so fast. You look back, it's like, man, that was like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was, but seems like just yesterday. And again, even if we were on the outside looking in, we had the best seat in the house because you're learning from like guys like Randy Orton that is in the ring with gender, or John Cena, another guy that, another guy, Cena, was, he took a liking to us because he knew what we wanted to do after this run with gender, and he was always there listening to our ideas. And a lot of people don't realize, just it's not about what you see on television, it's what goes on behind the scenes as well. Like, so you're always trying to find the next step, the next move. And for guys like us who were like under 6 feet tall, under 200 pounds, man, to have a 5-year run with the biggest wrestling promotion in the world, like, that's not a small feat. Like, most people last 5 months, if that. So 5 years for two guys from Burnaby, BC, who had a huge dream. So I think we went well above and beyond what we ever wanted.
Oh, dude, as a local guy watching it, it's fucking amazing, to be completely honest. So managing gender is pretty cool, but I mean, it can't touch that you guys are in WWE 2K19, 2K20. Like,
right.
Being in video games, how cool is that? Like, do you remember the first time you played as yourself?
The action figure kind of stands out more than anything.
Right. I was gonna say the action figure. Yeah.
Come on, like, who didn't play?
I guess, like, you always had those action figures as a kid, right? Like
the Dolphin,
and like King Kong Bundy, and like
you'll never forget it. And like,
the cool thing about the action figures is we got so many phone calls from our family members back home in India. So like, you forget, like, man, like, not only are we, like, forget about North America, like, we got our entire family back home cheering us on and watching us. So for them to show us our action figures on FaceTime, be like, oh, look, we got your toy. And like, it's such a proud moment for not only us, but our parents who were immigrants from India that came to Canada. Right. So it's like a American dream story for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, where does that sit in the structure of, like, your career highlights? Could you nail it down to one career highlight, or is that just like, no, dude, too hard?
Well, Harv, I think you'll have one and I'll have one, so I'll let you go first.
Your highlight?
Yeah, one.
I think for me, it's going to be Madison Square Garden, wrestling at Madison Square Garden, sold out Christmas. It was like we had a 5-day Christmas loop. Like, we flew out day of Christmas, landed in New York, and it's Madison Square Garden, 20,000 people. And I still remember we wrestled R-Truth for the 24/7 championship. And I just remember walking out, I won. I beat Gerb, actually. It was just a fun moment. But even, like, as fun as it was, there's still that moment you take, like, man, I'm walking out of Madison Square Garden with a WWE title with the logo on it, and it's in my bag, and I get to my hotel, I'm like, holy crap, this is pretty cool.
I got two that stick out of my mind, Todd, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Definitely wrestling at Rogers Arena, GM place for some people. So, very first event we saw was in July of 1996 with our parents, and for them to come back with us and to be able to have them watch us, front and center in the ring performing live, that's like, for our dad and mom, like, just standing in front of that, in the middle of the ring, like, with them, that's a surreal moment.
As a parent, I'm literally, like, my hair on my arm.
That's cool, man. So, like, Rogers Arena, and then second would be Air Canada Center in Toronto, because Harv and I, when we were busting our ass trying to get to the WWE, real quick story, we snuck in past Air Canada Center security, lying to them that we were booked as extra talent for WWE, which we were not. But we got to the back. We were hustling, handing out our 8x10 promo pictures with our information behind it. Eventually, we get caught for being there when we were not told to be there, and we got kicked out of the arena. But we go back to Air Canada Center, and that's where we sign our full-time WWE contract. So
nice.
Yes, so it all came full circle.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Let's get outside of wrestling and what you're known for just for a little bit here. So, if COVID's given us anything, it's of course time to be in front of the TV.
Right.
Which shows have you guys been binge watching lately?
Oh man, so many. So
right?
I've been pursuing acting a lot. So I've been watching. Really got into Marlon Brando.
Oh, really?
Covered this, old generation of Hollywood, just Streetcar Named Desire. Just watched that. I did watched On the Waterfront. I'm on a Seinfeld binge.
Oh, I'm back to that right now too.
So well written.
So good, man.
just timeless, and that's when you know comedy is done well, when it's timeless. You know, some comedy go back 10, 20 years later, and you're like, it's not funny. And another one is Frasier. I watch Frasier again, really well written, and it just doesn't get old. So those are the few that come to mind right now. But there's
I mean, there's almost too many to choose from. You know,
and Game of Thrones, all that stuff. But I think I just stick out where I was like pleasantly surprised. I was like, you know, it's like, it's funny, but it's like, wow, it's really well written stuff.
Yeah. And how about you, Gerv? What have you been watching?
Oh man, full disclosure, and Hart's gonna get really mad at me for this one because he always tells me, "Matt, you gotta watch more than just that." And for me, I'm just watching a lot of Bollywood comedy stuff.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
That couple
if you like it, you like it, right?
Yeah, so I'm that, but at the same time, because we're kind of working our way back up to where we want to eventually go back to the grind. I've been studying a lot of matches, just watching a lot of old school tag team wrestling stuff. So for me, I'm that wrestling nerd that's gonna go back to that. So I'll be watching and studying a lot of Heart Foundation and old school British Bulldog. So kind of like my TV
I love,
shows.
Those are my favorites. The Dynamite Kid and British Davey Boy Smith, Dynamite Kid.
Yeah, yes sir.
Yeah, I mean those guys were like just untouchable, man. Some of
the golden age. Yeah,
they were. No doubt. When was the last time you went to the theater? I just went and saw the new Spider-Man, and it was awesome.
I haven't seen that Spider-Man. I can't even remember last time.
Was it pre-COVID?
Even pre-COVID, we're on the road like 200. You're just really never had a time to, you know, get to. By the time you get home, you just want to not leave the house, and then you're back on the road catching airplanes.
It's funny, Todd, when you're on the road full time, you're so like you're just missing home so much that you can't wait to come back home and just watch a Canucks game. Like,
but
I don't.
There you go.
Sorry.
Yes.
I got really into like the Netflix, Amazon Primes during the long 8-hour travel from Vancouver. So I was like, that's why I was like, when you asked me that question, what shows have you watched? I'm like, you know, Matt, you could, you know, all those long flights we used to take from Vancouver, there was always something I was watching, whether it was like, man, I can't even, I watched a Dexter, and then you watched a House, and, you know, all this stuff. You're just binge watching all these shows because it's like your job is to get on a plane for 8 hours.
Right.
You know,
pretty easy to binge when you got that kind of time on your hands, right?
So that kind of the movie theaters is kind of like, for us, it worked out in that sense when you're traveling.
Yeah. Gerv, you just brought up the Canucks. You guys watching the run again? This year's crazy since they bring in Coach Boudreau, hey?
Unbelievable. Like I don't know.
It's like a different team, man.
It totally is. And I think I think internally there was something going on. You know, I'm not like a hockey expert as far as like knowing exactly what was happening, but like I can tell like the team's totally different now. It's like day and night difference.
Yeah, it's really weird.
They might have just been burnt out, and it's like change of scene, kind of like what's going on with WWE. Time to change things up. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it feels like almost like it's like an every 3-4 years with those guys with the WWE, where they're kind of, you know, making sure that we're not losing, you know, the attention of our fans, right?
That's what you do when you're our company, right?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, almost have to.
You can't, right? It's just okay.
Yeah.
I love your the old school Canucks cap. That's the skate.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah.
Old school. Oh, check this out. The old school. Did you guys ever go to those Lollapaloozas at T-Bird Stadium?
Oh yeah. I've heard of those. Yeah.
So this is like the 92, I think, is 91 or 92, where it was like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden, Chili Peppers, and like
Zeppelin in the back.
And insane. Yeah, and then Zeppelin, got the big Zepp poster here, got some Rage over here.
Oh, dude, you should. I just saw some old school Canucks pictures of Harv and I wearing our skate logo jerseys that nice. we threw up on Twitter. So like, if you want to check those, like, yeah, we grew up playing ice hockey, you know. So for us, cool. It was hockey and wrestling for us growing up.
Yeah, man, same for me. You know, and when I was working at CFOX, we'll bring it back to Fox real quick. Did you ever hear, like, I always used to have like Jarkko Ruutu was a guest all the time, and like,
what a throwback.
And it was the am I blanking on his name now? It wasn't Brad May, it was like another one of the tough guys on the team at that time. But yeah, man, I fucking love the Canucks, dude. I mean, I love them so much. I had tickets for the 8th, which is, I guess, 2 days from now.
Right.
And of course can't go.
Exactly. It's
Sucks.
50%. So yeah, no, I've been hoping to go too, man. But every time something comes up and they keep changing things on, so who knows what's gonna happen?
Well, thankfully, I went right before Christmas. I had a buddy that had a birthday, so I was like, "Let's go!" And went and had the $16 beers and everything else, and it was awesome, man. It's so good to be in that building.
I came across this Twitter handle today. I forget the name of the Twitter handle, but they asked, "What was your worst sports memory?" And I just tweeted them a picture of Mark Messier holding the Stanley Cup. It has to. It is.
Oh,
it has to.
Full disclosure, I actually liked Messier. I was like 7 years old.
Yeah, I had some buddies that loved him too. Like I would like kid. Tape a picture to, my locker or whatever kind of thing. Like just taping pictures to like windows and shit of Mark Messier. Like
when I think of the navy blue Orca when it just debuted, I think of Messier.
Yeah.
The thing that comes to my mind.
But he may very well be one of the best to have ever put on a
absolutely
uniform.
Yeah, can't deny the fact.
Like take him away, and who is it? Bury,
yeah. Was McGillney still there at that time?
Oof, McGillney number 89.
Yeah, he was.
Fuck, he was good too.
Yeah,
he was good too.
Right, man, you got me with Yarko Rutu. Damn.
Oh, Rutu, yeah, Roots. He and I used to go party hard downtown Vancouver.
Oh man.
Oh, he was a beauty.
Nice.
Hey, what's the music in your house as a kid growing up? Like, what are you guys listening to? What are the bands you first found on your own?
So for me growing up, got introduction to Tupac. I was a big Tupac guy. Still am. I grew up on the 90s hip hop, like that Snoop, Dre, West Coast. For me, I still listen to that. I can't, no disrespect to the new music or the new content out there, but I just can't get into it. So for me, I keep it 90s, keep it old school. For me, Tupac, all these years later, 20 plus years later.
Pretty old school. It's still like Metallica and Johnny Cash and stuff like that. It doesn't change, at this point.
Here's a story for you, Todd. Like we didn't really listen to any of that, any of the Metallica until we got on the road in wrestling. I'm talking about pre-WWE. Yeah, so like a lot of the veterans that we were traveling with back in the day when we were breaking out into the business, they would play Guns N' Roses, Metallica, and that's when I was like, man, this shit's awesome. This shit gets you jacked up. You could be driving. You could be driving at 2 a.m. in the morning going to like Lethbridge and like. Metallica Turn the Page comes on. You're like, okay, shit, here we go. Like pedal to the metal.
That's awesome. Man. Something about music. It's definitely a game changer for sure.
Right. Yeah. No.
And what was your first concerts? Did you go together or was it a separate thing? Like, what was your first concert you went to?
Sorry, go ahead. Or
I've never actually been to a music concert.
You've never been to a concert?
No, not really. We've been to like growing up, like we had a lot of went to a lot of Bollywood actors, like
right.
It was kind of like concerts when you say like that, but it was such a big thing in our house, Bollywood movies, and so when the big Bollywood stars would come in, we'd go watch them. That's what we got like the Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and all that much later, like 18, 19 when we got into that.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because growing up, it was just our cousins were older and they were just strictly into hip hop, so that's all we heard was just hip hop music through them, and like in the 90s. And like my first concert, my concerts have all been hip hop concerts, like DJ Quick, all the West Coast artists, the Outlaws came through, Warren G.
Warren G. Nice.
Yeah. So
there's a throwback.
When I'm talking about West Coast, like that's straight up. Yeah, I'm like straight up West Coast music. So those are my. Yeah, well, that's my concert list for you. But going back to also what my brother was saying, like a lot of Bollywood concerts with our family growing up as well. Like I think the loudest reaction I've ever heard, even this includes wrestling, hockey, whatever, was for a Bollywood actor, Shah Rukh Khan, when he came onto stage, man. Like I can just feel the hair on my arm just moving back. You know what I'm saying? It was the loudest thing ever. But that's another story for another day.
Yeah, nice. Are you guys into other sports? Obviously Canucks, and we love hockey and wrestling and stuff, but you guys get into like the UFC fights and Bellator and all that? You guys watch that at all?
Early on, I mean, I was big into UFC when like GSP was there. I remember when Lesnar was, first coming on the scene. Like that's
Right.
when
How
I
crazy
was.
is that? Lesnar, like, really just coming in
Yeah.
and like destroying people. It's like, yeah, well,
Right.
he's a fucking tough guy, even though he's like, these are pre-planned moves in the WWE and wherever he's wrestling and stuff. But like,
Really tough.
He's still tough as nails, man.
Yeah, and that was 15 years ago. And fast forward now, and he's still just the beast that he was back then. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
Hard.
We grew up on a lot of sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, I saw a picture of Brock Lesnar on Twitter or like Facebook or something like that about a week back, and it was when he was like 18 or 19 years old, and he was so freaking jacked.
Yeah,
like his neck muscles were like, and
hey,
he was
Todd,
just like,
I don't know if you know, but we've been to Suplex City. I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube or not, but
no,
yeah, we had a segment with him a few years ago. So, yeah, which a lot of people were concerned for our well-being, but we made it home.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to have 100 pounds on you guys,
right? You see the new picture with him and Gretzky and Rick was it Tocchet that he's with or somebody else? But this picture of Gretzky and Lesnar together from last week. It's very recent.
Okay, well, check that out.
Yeah,
man. Legends. Boys, I'm gonna wrap it up with one last question, because I'm going way over the time I told you I'd need. So each of you, I need a near-death story where you're like, holy crap, I could have died there.
Yeah, okay. I think you and I don't know I think you and I might share the same one, but let's hear your first.
I don't know which one you're gonna mention.
I love it that there's like more than one.
Are you talking about the one?
Hell Tour, yeah. Remember when Vance?
I actually had I break out into hives.
Oh shit!
I anaphylaxis when you
my wife is deadly anaphylactic shock.
Yeah, no, it was like a long time ago, 7-8 years. And I was at the gym and I just remember my face, I swelled up and I didn't have my Benadryl and my asthma spray. And I was like, I'll just walk back home. And by the time I came home, I just passed out on the stairs. And my mom and dad, they're crying, they're running around, and I was done. Like I couldn't breathe, and like I literally soiled my pants, because I think people don't realize that when you're kind of about to go, you lose all bodily function.
Wow.
So
Man.
I crapped my pants, I peed my pants, and I just saw this white light and just stopped breathing, and it just, yeah. And then luckily the ambulance showed up in time. They gave me
that EpiPen
and started breathing. But I remember that, like, I was like, by like up, I was a goner.
Wow.
God, I might. Oh shit,
dude, that's crazy. It's like Irv didn't even know, man. Like,
no, I remember you telling me what year. When was this?
It was like when we were in the Indies, man. I
still remember. Came
back from Sport Check, and
shit.
Yeah, I
crazy,
remember.
Dude.
Yeah, I remember the ambulance came, and it was. And I get it every now and then, but I have to carry my pills with me everywhere I go. I carry my pills.
Yeah, like, my wife still to this day, man. She carries an EpiPen with her, like.
I can't.
And it's only since the birth of our first kid that suddenly she just became like allergic to everything. They couldn't figure out what it was. It was like pitted fruits. It was like cut grass. It was this certain tree. It was fucking this and that. It was like everything, man. Like it was
like everywhere I go, I have to carry this pouch.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, it's like, I have to just carry this with me because I'm like, I never know when I'm gonna. I was actually at H&M. This is like a week ago. In Langley, at the Langley Mall, I was buying some Christmas stuff, and I just broke out.
And luckily, you can feel it though, right? It starts to kind of tingle and like,
oh, it's happening. You don't know the trigger.
I think you explained it once to me. It's like a pre-workout buzz. If you take a pre-workout drink and like you start feeling a tingle sensation.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is like they don't really know how it comes on, right? Like sometimes it's like, well, it's fitness related. It started happening after I was working out. Well, the next time was like I was sitting on the couch. I don't know. Yeah, no idea.
I don't know.
Wow,
I
scary
don't know.
stuff, man.
I don't know how I'm gonna top that, Todd.
Yeah, I know,
But,
right, Gerb? You want to just like tap out
yeah,
here?
right. But
I don't know
like
if
we
you could pop that.
well, we used to do these tours called the Northern Hell tours. That were they took place up in northern Manitoba on reserves, and we used to do them obviously after reading stories of like Edge and Christian and Jericho. Those guys did them back in the 90s when they were breaking out, and we're like, oh man, if Edge and Christian did those tours and made it to the WWF, if we do this tours, possibly we'll get there. But anyways, we were wrapping up these tours, and you gotta remember you're driving on frozen lakes, and only way you can drive is it's like it has to be in the negatives. Like I think the coldest time we drove was like -50. But
Yeah.
yeah, here we are driving through these frozen lakes, and we're wrapping up the tour, coming back into the city of Winnipeg from northern Manitoba down to Winnipeg. We're catching a highway. I think Harv, I don't know if I believe you were probably in the truck with me, but there's 4 of us, and the driver lost control of the pickup truck, and we spun literally 5 times on the highway. And this might not sound like a lot, but we fell 2 feet into a ditch. And for us, like, just everyone screaming, and just like, holy shit, like as we're spinning, and I'm like, holy shit, like what the hell. So that was like the closest thing as far as near death experience for us personally, as far as wrestling goes. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but like but it's just driving on those frozen lakes. I mean, whatever happened to the Bollywood Boys? Oh well,
Yeah, you're like,
they passed away in Winnipeg somewhere. So
yeah, they went driving on a lake,
yeah.
thinking the whole time, what am I doing driving
Right,
on this frozen lake? No, it'll be
yeah,
fine. It'll be fine.
yeah, exactly. So, oh man, other than that, I don't know. I can't top Harv's. So,
Yeah, Harv's. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, boys. I'm gonna wrap it up here, man. Thank you again for taking some time and joining the Toddcast here. You're easy to find on Twitter at Bollywood Boyz, boys with a Z.
Yes, sir.
And easy to find on Instagram as well.
Yes, sir. Awesome.
You guys are active on Facebook at all or no?
It's more of a private.
Yeah, just
okay.
So too much social media out there, Todd.
Yeah, I know, right? It's hard to keep up, man. Sometimes it's hard to keep up. All right, guys, have a great night, and
cheers, man.
I guess we'll see you online. Nice to meet you.
You too, man. Thanks, Todd.